Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to 88 Goals. Today, I will be playing my Week 1 match versus Central and the Deerling and the Franxx team. I, I am getting a bit used to playing Central in Week 1s. I've played him now in Week 1 in 3 different leagues. This league now, Amberflight Gaming Off-Season Ubers Tour. And I've played him in a monotype league called GLCC. So let's take a look. I guess I'll go over my team as well for those who may have forgotten my preview video or just haven't watched it yet. My team is Meowscarada, Iron Treads, Primarina, Kierum, Tera Necrozma, Clodsire, Tera Rapid Strike Urshifu, Rotom Heat, and Grafaiai. So one thing to note is that this league is high tier Tera and it can be any Tera type. Matches are played with Tera preview, so I will know the Tera of his Pokemon during the match, and he will know the Tera of any of my Pokemon as well. So we'll see how this plays out. Central's team consists of his first round pick, Tera Zarude, Deoxys Speed, Landorus Incarnate, Tinkaton, Quaquaval, Hisuian Arcanine with Terra, Overquill, Brambleghast, and Kilowattrel. Also to note that there was no limits on Terra points. So that's how I have a 15-point Tera Necrozma and a 17-point Urshifu Rapid Strike. And my opponent having a 20-point Zarude Tera and an Arcanine Hisui that I do not know its Tera points, but it is a lot because that Mon becomes a lot better when you can Tera. So I'm excited for this matchup. Match isn't going to happen too long from the point of this recording, so I will go over and show you the team that I will be bringing. All right, here's the team that I will be bringing this week, and it starts with pretty much most of my top 6. Excluding one Pokemon, which I will talk about why I do not have a Tera Necrozma this week. But we have Focus Sash Meowscarada with 24 HP, 252 attack, 232 speed, Adamant Nature, so this outspeeds max speed Zarude. And it's going to be a leads with Spikes, U-Turn, Sucker Punch, and Knockoff. I don't suspect that Grass moves are going to be amazing into his team, to be honest. So I think not having Flower Trick is fine, and just looking to do as much damage as I can and set as much spikes as, or potentially just set as much spikes as I can before everything's over is going to be good. Next up, we have T-Swift, the Primarina, running leftovers this week. We're going 248 HP, 252 defense, 8 special attack, Bold Nature, with Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Moonblast, and Surf. So we're going to run a Calm Mind set on Primarina this week. Primarina is so flexible. There's going to be weeks where I just want to run it as a pretty much purely defensive Pokemon that can do lots, that has just good natural special attack. But this week, I do want to use Primarina as a good check for Quaquaval. And I think that there's going to be potential where if something happens to Quaquaval earlier, that Primarina, just by setting up a couple of Calm Minds, will have either Moonblast or Draining Kiss at her disposal, depending on who's in front of Primarina. Because there will be times where Surf will be enough. But I just want to see what Calm Mind Prim can kind of do. Next up, we have Kaichao, the Kierum. We're going to be holding a Choppleberry this week. 8 HP, 252 special attack, 248 speed, Timid Nature. This will outspeed the Pokemon. This will outspeed max speed Tinkaton. We have Freeze Dry, Draco Meteor, Earth Power, and Focus Blast. Each one of these moves will potentially be necessary into different Pokemon. For sure. And Choppleberry will help us to take less damage from Focus Blast, from take less damage from Focus Blast from Landorus. It'll help us take less damage from Close Combat from Zarude and other fighting moves in general that might be put on his tech. And fourth, we have Edward, the Iron Treads. We're going to be holding an air balloon this week. 20 HP, 252 attack, 236 speed. So we're going to be quite a bit offensive this week. Rapid Spin, Earthquake, Ice Spinner, Knockoff. So this will be fun. And the air balloon is obviously there for Landorus. I can bring Iron Treads in on Lando and either enforce it to have to use something like Psychic or essentially Psychic, because it typically runs Earth Power. It'll run Sludge Bomb generally. It'll run Psychic potentially as well. And then potentially some other fourth move. It's some other move that's going to also have a secondary effect. Because most times it's going to be Sheer Force Life Orb, Landorus Incarnate. And next up after Edward, we have Kapow, the Urshifu Rapid Strike. With Choice Scarf, we are just going to run a clean Tera Water this week. I thought about Tera Stellar and opted to go for Tera Water instead. 252 attack, 152 defense, 104 speed, Adamant Nature, U-Turn, Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Poison Jab. The fourth move slot probably could use a little work, but the U-Turn, Strikes, and Close Combat are very, very much obvious things. And there's potential I could just run Aqua Jet, but I don't believe he's going to run a specific Scarfer, and my Urshifu is not Scarf to be faster than Deoxys. There's almost nothing on my team can hit Deoxys' speeds even with a Scarf, unless I'm like scarfing Meowscarada or maybe Iron Treads, which I didn't feel the need to do. So this is why we're running this specific Meowscarada, is because I want to be able to survive an attack from his. I want to be able to survive an attack from his Deoxys, and then be able to retaliate with a knockoff tech pretty much at that point. Also, next up and lastly on the team is going to be our Erplefish Clodsire. We're going to be running Unaware this week with Black Sludge. 248 HP, 252 defense, 8 Spadef and Impish Nature, running Poison Jab, Toxic, Recover, and Earthquake. This is also a good Pokemon to put in front of anything that wants to set up on you. It's not going to be necessarily the best into something like Quaquaval, which is where we have Primarina coming in play. Prim should be quite good with resistances to his stab moves. But maybe he'll run something to deal with Prim. That's potential. However, I think we're in a pretty solid spot. It's just gonna be using our bulk, because we're pretty bulky, and ability to even sack if we ever have to get good tempo. I think my understanding of the flow of the game has gotten a lot better, and I'm very excited to play this match. Right now I'm currently 2-0 against Central, but I know that this will be a tough match, so I look forward to playing Central, and I will come back with the replay after the match. Alright, my match with Central has concluded, so let's go over the replay. So the team that he brought is pretty similar to what I expected. I didn't do a ton of prep in Calcs for something like Overquill, though, which I should have expected to come to the match, especially in the face of something like Urshifu. This mon is very good into Urshifu. You can just run Rocky Helmet, as it's a generally good item to run on Overquill, as it's a very bulky Pokemon on the physical side, so you just run it for that. Zarude, Good news is that it's open Tera, so I can see his Zarude's Tera during the match. So I know how to, so I can have a better idea of what I need to do for my plan against that specific Pokemon. But yeah, let's get into it. So I lead my Meowscarada into his Zarude, Zarude. We see that it's Tera Poison Zarude, and nothing else has on his team can Tera besides Zarude. So I should know it's probably going to become Poison type. So T1, I just went ahead and set a layer of spikes. And then I went ahead and just went knockoff on his Tinkaton. I maybe could have clicked a different move. But he did steal my Focus Sash with was running Pickpocket to take my Focus Sash. So a little unfortunate that I lose the Sash that I wanted to keep for later. And I ended up taking a Gigaton, which was not very good for me. Switched to Treads. And lost my Balloon to a knockoff as well, which is unfortunate. So right off the bat, I just think that I didn't do a great job with my switching. I probably could have just gone to Clodsire here, as it's pretty safe, and even if it has to have its Black Sludge knocked off, it's pretty okay. In general. He switches in Quack, and I go for a Rapid Spin to remove rocks. But this still leaves me in a really bad position. And unfortunately, my Earthquake doesn't do enough damage to him. Although, I probably should have just realized that I would be faster even after anything. But I also have to worry that he's not just going to Aqua Step me here. So I end up switching out to Prim. And just goes for Rapid Spin. But my threat of just clicking Moonblast here is pretty strong. I did have a choice to go for something else like Surf, which I think would have been much better here probably, or just Calm Minding. Because I think I was Calm Mind this week. Yeah, I was Calm Mind with lefties. Yeah. But overall, this week was just kind of tough. It felt like, in general, when I was, like, prepping, I haven't been super prepared this whole time. Unfortunately, my Rapid Spin left him below 50, which let him eat a Citrus. I was hoping to leave him at, like, 50. If I had left him at, like, 51, I would have been able to outspeed and just force him to switch on an EQ. But instead, now I'm forced back into Prim, who's just taking more and more chip, which is not good. Now Zarude comes in, and I know Zarude's gonna Tera here. So I go to my switch to my Claude, and he goes Tera Poison and Speed. I still do have an Earthquake here, which is good. Which I'm pretty sure I just rip. And I get a big crit into Zarude, which is nice. And here I had two options. Try and predict him to stay in, which wasn't gonna happen, and just click the Earthquake, or I should have done was probably just I probably should have just went with the Recover click. Recover would have done quite a lot for me here, because then I'm at 100%, and my switches from here are like kind of not great. I'm forced to sack Meow, which I didn't want to do, but I kind of had to do. Because nothing else on my team can really take an EQ from Lando. My team is extremely lame. Yeah, I don't even know. So I went for Ice Spinner, and then I revealed Rocky Helmet here. So I just clicked Knockoff, but he read it and switched right into Quack, which was really good. Forced another Prim switch. So he just kept coming in and just plugging down here, and I know he has Tera Blast, which will kill my Prim here, which won't quite kill Prim. I have this calculated. So he's forced to... but what I forgot was he could just run Power Whip, and he just Power Whipped, which would just KO, guaranteed. I thought he was going to click Tera Blast. So here, I go ahead, and I take a U-turn, and I have to take chip damage to get out. I didn't have to. I didn't have to do it. I could have doubled. If I had just thought about... I forgot that I could just double into Kyurem here. Kyurem's really good into this and forces out something, and it has to eat a freeze dry. I go for EP, and this thing just lives. That's crazy. But I also then was forced to eat a Gigaton Hammer on a Kyurem, which I shouldn't have done. Here, I had any number of good switches. I could have switched to, like, Urshifu. I could have... But the problem is I have, like, a bunch of physical attackers. And my opponent still has all his Pokemon. And this was a really rough... So this felt really rough for me. Like, Freeze Dry here does get the freeze, does get the frozen. So he doesn't get screens or his rocks up, which is awesome. But... him not getting rocks, I don't think mattered too much. Because I did have Edward that I could just bring in for because he doesn't have a spin blocker. But here, his Zarude is now just the fastest thing on the field. I did have Scarf Ursh, which is why he realized I probably had a Scarf Ursh the way I brought him in. But yeah, I just didn't have a ton going here. Yeah. So I brought Ursh back in, and I doubled into Kyurem, expecting the Overquill switch. Which I then just ripped a Draco, and I was able to kill his Lando, which does make the game a bit easier for me. But unfortunately here I can't really do much. I just had to let my Kyurem go down. I did have enough of an endgame that I could at least like take... I could like, at least take some diff. I didn't think I could win, and so I did take the EQ here, and I did die to a close combat as I expected. I thought he might have, if he had Aqua Step, it probably would have mattered. But I brought Ursh in, and then I just went for Tera Wood or Surging Strikes, knowing that I have to lock into a move. So I needed to lock into Surging Strikes, knowing that I'd probably die. But at least I could potentially kill this. I thought I could almost kill this thing, but I just messed up I guess the couch just got messed up. And he went for Crunch, which didn't KO. Which at least meant that I got a 1 diff loss. In general, I don't believe I prepped very well or played very well this game. There was definitely like good, like the endgame recognition to cut the diff was really good. But like, I don't know. It felt really tough. I didn't prep well enough for Poison Zarude. I threw away. I maybe could have had a different Scarfer. Meowscarada was supposed to be pretty good into Zarude, and I just didn't. I should have had a plan for the Poison Terra, and I just didn't. To be fair. And I don't think putting hazards on a team that had to go up against Quaquaval was very smart. I probably could have had Triple Axle or something. Maybe, I don't know. Or I needed to have something to deal with some of his Pokemon correctly, and I just didn't. I think Kyurem taking all that damage from a Gigaton Hammer was really bad, and I should never do that. But my team doesn't have a lot of defensive switches, is the thing. Realistically, I think the best switch into that was definitely like Claude or something like that. Just because I don't really think that Tinkaton had a way to stop me from just recovering. So maybe that was where I needed to go. Just little things here and there that I could have done better, but really good playing by Central. This format feels really tough, and I'm gonna have to adjust. I haven't played maybe I'm a bit more used to having like extra access to like defog or other stuff like that, but I don't really think that's the issue. I think a lot of the issue is that Pokemon can have any Terra, really. I know that it can't. I know that most of these Mons won't have every Terra, but I don't know. Prepping against Tera Zarude just feels like feels kind of like a lost cause, I'd say. Like, you need to have an answer, but at the same time, it's Tera Zarude. It's like so strong. Like, my best bet would have been having Psychic on something to eat a Zarude hit and kill it. And Psychic, honestly, on something like Prim would have been really good if I had gone, like, if I had been, like, Specs with Psychic to, like, surprise something like Clock. But again, I think Clock always just clicks a U-turn in front of me. So yeah, I don't know. A tough one. But, gotta swallow the pill and move on. So next week I play against Terminal, who has another broken Tera Pokemon. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's it for week 1 of 88 goals, and I will be back with week 2 very soon, because this has been recorded way after it was played, to the point where I'm playing my match tomorrow night on a Wednesday. This will be going up technically on Wednesday, but because I'm recording this midnight. But yeah, thank you, Central, for the match. Now I'm now 2-1 against Central, and I felt like this was just kind of maybe a bad matchup. I like my team, but I'm not sure if there's better stuff I could be doing. So like, I think if I lose a couple of weeks here, I might have to consider some FAs and like changing up some of the look of this team, because it's really nice, but it might not be cohesive. So yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna run with this, keep this team going for a couple more weeks, for at least another 2 weeks probably, before I have to decide if I need to make any fundamental changes. So I'll talk to everyone later. Till then, have a great night.